Well, I'm really looking forward to our conversation today about NeuroSystemics and the CARE program.
Yes.
I think we're here to answer questions about what NeuroSystemics is and the CARE program, the 3-year CARE program that we are offering in Turkey and Switzerland. There's a lot of amazing elements that we are offering to folks to learn and to benefit from. So we'll be discussing some of those points during our conversation today.
Yeah, looking forward to that, to dive deep into this.
Yeah, totally. I wanted to start out actually to ask you, Boz, if I may throw a little curveball in our trajectory. To get your sort of insight on what's so exciting about being part of the NeuroSystemics approach. And you are one of our mentors, our Swiss mentors, on our training program. And you've written books and trained in all kinds of different modalities. And we've brought you on board for this program, for all of your intelligence and your heartfelt skillfulness, and just wanted to get us started with your intrigue and interest in specifically NeuroSystemics.
Yeah, that's a great question, and you're right. I've seen quite some modalities, and I love many modalities. And I think NeuroSystemics is very special in the sense that it crosses quite some bridges, like multiple bridges. Being a very integrative and systemic model, what I love about it is how it offers a frame, as Boaz Feldman, the founder, likes to call it, like the meta modeling, beautiful nerdy word that I love. And it's very true. It's very meta in the sense that it's very suitable as an overarching frame to put all of your other tools in, and then to enrich them as to expand them, crossing all these layers from yourself to groups that you are in, to even societal levels and everything in between, and which I'm sure you'll touch on later. It's really powerful to get a model that really combines all those layers into one model, into one mapping, which helps you traverse those different layers with a congruent and consistent set of principles and tools. That's really a big part for me, which is so attractive and interesting about this model.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
Sort of sharing of what your passion is around all this. And I got goosebumps from when you said traverse. I think that really hits the nail on the head with the whole program. Really is learning how to traverse the gaps, learning how to traverse from the individual to the group, learning how to traverse from our inner experience to ourself as a person walking on the planet, learning how to traverse a delicate interaction with a friend, or maybe a heated discussion with a family member, or how to traverse that movement in a group setting. Sometimes we can feel anxious or a bit shy about being in groups and expressing ourselves of who we are and feeling a sense of belonging.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you mentioned, the greater picture of civilization, of community, and the bigger societal level, and how does all that work? How does my tribe fit into that bigger picture? So I love this word, traverse.
That's good.
Yeah,
it's nice to find those words that capture a great deal of the gestalt, right? Because it's so much more than we can put into words, especially with a systemic and meta model, which is so rich.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice if we can get the feeling of that, I think, with these type
Yeah.
of words. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
it really shows a connection. That
mhm,
traversing point is the connecting point of
yes,
these different layers. And as we know, it's really all about connection or also relationship. We use that word a lot in neurosystemics, don't we?
for sure. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a staple word.
Yeah, it is. It's like meat and potatoes for meat eaters and broccoli and tofu for the vegans out there.
Exactly. Yes, as nourishing as can be, hopefully, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's how we pick our words.
yeah, for sure.
And so maybe because we're kind of getting into it already, would you say if we just kind of continue here, or maybe feel
Yeah,
like,
let's just move right in. You know, we did kind of start off um, in our really casual way with just conversation. This is a real natural flow in our therapeutic work that we use, in group work. That social engagement is so primary. So it fits with how we've started our presentation today. If we can call it a presentation, it's just like a conversation.
yes,
But you have, I think, I can see something on your mind. You want to ask a question.
that's right. You're reading me quite well, which is also
So
part of
fire
this,
away.
right? To read each other's mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you bet.
so I think we're already really touching into some of the questions I had for you as faculty of neurosystemics, and
Mm-hmm.
you have great deals of experience in all kinds of models as well, also in integrating models. So I think you're absolutely the right person to have this conversation with tonight. And one thing I'd like to hear from you is really starting at the beginning, as you said in one of our conversations. Like it starts with why. So what would you say is the why of neurosystemics?
Yeah, the why. A great place to begin with why. You know, we are born into the world and begin tasting and seeing and smelling and exploring and discovering the world around us. We start discovering that we are an experience of our own unto ourselves. We discover that there's an I, that there's a separation between myself and mom, myself from dad, myself from siblings, and we continue on, and we find out life is challenging. Life can be challenging. Um, Life is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and life is challenging as well. It's got both. And, well, I think the why of neurosystemics is really looking at how can we make it a really full and beautiful time here on Earth while we're here, and how can we help others have a deeply beautiful time on Earth, and not just our fellow human brother and sisters, but the animals, the plants, the mountains, the sky. How can we really make this place, this planet Earth that we call home, a more beautiful, resilient, empowered, healthy system that's strong everywhere.
Mm,
I think that's the main thrust that is motivating our whole approach, and we do that very very strategically. We have a kind of a bent toward the scientific, optimizing our effectiveness in the world from the latest research and the latest things that we have uncovered that really work over the years. And our program is really well knitted and founded on the scientific principles. So we're offering something that is really cutting edge and takes a step away from conventional therapy and conventional personal growth approaches.
And in what way would you say that is? That it's really a step away from the maybe more traditional or other schools? Like what is neurosystemics more practically speaking, and how is that different?
Right. Well, the thing is, as you know, and you've been studying, when we start looking at those wounds inside of us that we're carrying, and we could categorize that as trauma, or we could categorize that as developmental challenges. It doesn't even have to be in that category. It can just be, that the habits that I've developed to try to survive in my family situation, and those approaches aren't as effective in my life in living a really fully abundant, amazing life. So, we've studied very detailed different models of how to move away from that conditioning or the physiological knots, as I would call them, in our system. And taking a look at that on a biological level, like how does the nervous system really function in a smooth, fine, coherent way? And these are elements that we really take a deep look at in this training process. We take a look at the neuroscience of the cognitive, the affective, and the somatic levels. And not only just trying to become, a lot of approaches are focusing, a lot of approaches in the somatic world these days are focusing on the somatic piece very exclusively. And in NeuroSystemics, we're taking on a lot more elements that are not necessarily embodiment practices. This comes later, actually. There are quite a few other steps that you can embrace and need to embrace before we even get to becoming more embodied. So this it's a very refined approach to helping people start relating to themselves in a healthier way, with very precise strategic steps that are unconventional. They're not the usual approach. Another piece that is really powerful with the neurosystemics is looking at things in a positive light. Most therapy is oriented to the problem, and we all have an urge to get rid of our problems. That's what brings us to therapy usually, or for help or meditation, or to engage in the world and activism. We want to change the world for the better. And the neurosystemics approach is really leaning in a strong direction toward a positive side that's an enriching side, and offering a way to step lightly in a direction of transformation. Now we're not letting go of the difficulty and the problem, of course. It's there too, and we do embrace looking at that square in the face, when we have enough resiliency in our system. But we cleverly are able to adapt and shift gears accordingly when we are engaged with others and with ourselves, to modify or modulate the direction that we're going.
Wow, that's beautiful. I really love some of those key words that you're mentioning, especially the one that meant like stepping lightly into transformation, I think you said.
Yes. Yeah.
It sounds very gentle and compassionate.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that also makes me curious, maybe if we start to kind of zoom in, because we're zooming in, I feel, from, the abstract, which is the why, obviously, to more of the what, and now coming to really how do you do that? Like, what's the, you could call it the principles, toolkit, skills, whatever we call it, but what's the concrete things that people can think about that they might pick up in the training throughout those years? Anything?
Yeah, well, maybe I should, it's a great question, Boz, and what I would say is, first of all, maybe define, what does care mean? Boaz Feldman, our founder and primary teacher, facilitator of this program, he named it care based on 4 concepts. C being compassion, A being awareness, and R being resiliency, and E being empowerment. And those are 4 things that we're really looking for on all these levels of relating to ourselves, relating with others, relating in groups, relating in the bigger picture of civilization. And your question about how are we generating that? How does that look? We really examine that in detail every step of the way. There is a real clear map of how to make these steps toward compassion. Practical exercises and maps to cultivate compassion within yourself, toward yourself, with others, whether you're in the helping professions, how to cultivate this very important element. And I would throw in also the gratitude cultivation. Now these are elements that come from the wisdom traditions. And Boaz is very much, as you know, was a Buddhist monk in Thailand, and he's currently on a long meditation retreat in the UK in silence. Otherwise, he'd be here, sitting in the seat, answering questions. So those elements of mindfulness are very key in the whole program, and we explore that in ways that are also refreshingly new, where we're incorporating some of the neuroscience involved in that, and what is actually helpful, because if we're going just for pure meditation can actually be pretty tough. Some of those practices can be very tough, and then you question, like, where's the compassion in that? Well, we soften those practices with a lot of the latest knowledge of how a nervous system functions. We integrate all of that new science in with the old traditional practices of mindfulness that are very brilliant, but may not be so refined and smooth as they could be. And in addition, we are including maps and understanding of the way systems work. There's this element of exploring in the training holonic progressions. It sounds quite complex. Really, it's very simple. A holon is something that has parts and a whole at the same time. Much like a tree and seeds as they are related to each other, form a holon. And in this way, we could see, as you mentioned, Baz, the transitions from self to individual to groups to civilization that traverse that gap. We're starting to speak about that holon, where the so-called lower level is structured with parts. And we're traversing into a realm of the bigger picture, the group, or the individual, or the experience of the individual. So we're going from parts to whole, parts to whole, parts to whole, as we're traversing all these various layers. So our expertise lies within the understanding of holonic progression. And we go into great detail of that, how to, in a compassionate, supportive way, be able to bring the system, whichever system we're looking at, whether it's a single person or someone we're working with in a therapeutic context, or in a group therapeutic context, or engaging society, how can we bring that system to a whole that's really thriving and in coherence?
I'm curious, would you you have this really key model of that? Would it be helpful maybe if I show that on my screen, and you can maybe walk us through that, like maybe adding
let's
some
take
of
a
the
look.
practices? Yeah?
Perfect. Yeah.
I'll turn around my camera.
You're making this so easy for me, Baz.
Well, that's our job, right? To help each other out,
Yeah.
make it super easy and enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I'll function as the screen share for Heath right now, and this is one of our core meta models, as Boaz calls it. And Heath, would you maybe just walk us through those layers that you just talked about, and maybe add some of the practices or tools that people learn in the training?
Yeah, you bet. So we've got the 4 layers there, and in the middle, Boaz has called that the soul level. That doesn't mean you necessarily need to believe in souls or have a religious perspective, but that seemed to resonate with Boaz, and so we are calling that the soul level, which is our inner experience. And we go in great detail about that in the first year of the training, about our inner experience and what that involves. We differentiate our inner experience in a very systematic way. We get to know the different parts of our experience, from how information is coming into my biology through my eyes, my nose, my ears, etc., my thinking processes, my emotional experience, my sensation of the body. All of these elements are really differentiated, dissected, digested, explored, and we see what's helpful when in a person's process, when to focus on those elements and when not to, and how to actually digest and ultimately integrate all the experience, differentiate all that experience from the levels of, say, a chaotic system to a differentiated system to the integration level. So that's all happening in the soul level, which is a complete exploration of the first year of training. Then we move out to the individual layer. By the way, one of the practices for that soul layer might just be as simple as a metta meditation practice, which comes from mindfulness traditions in Buddhism. This compassion, metta as a compassion practice, and refining the observer's perspective of their own experience. So that would be at the soul level. And at the self level, which is the second layer, we're looking at ourselves as a psychological entity, as an individual relating to the world. Now, a practice for that may be, say, orientation. An orientation which is allowing us to connect to the outer world. We see the world, there's a bigger picture than just our inner world of, say, thinking or sensate experience. And we also include in this, in the NeuroSystemics training program, interaction with a single individual. And this would be, say, the therapeutic engagement that we're often talking about, and how precisely to help a person become more resilient and more empowered in their own system, as well as more compassionate to themselves, more compassionate to others. And this is not done through a process of like a guidebook, and you learn a couple of tips and tricks. In this process, it's really a transformational change at the biological level, at the physiological level, at the metabolical level, so that as you develop that resilience, as you develop that empowerment, it's a no-brainer. You're not going to have to do any exercises to keep yourself in that state. It's a transformational state that becomes stable and something that you're not going to have to continue to repeat to do. And then moving out to the social level there, that third level out there in this little map, this is the group work that we are teaching in the third, I think that's the third level, the third year, or maybe it's the second year. We're already moving in that direction. So once we really become expert in the biology, the psychology, the cognitive parts, the affective part, the somatic parts, we're going to be expanding that out to the group level, which is a much more complex area to work. But we're basing that on all the same principles that we have been exploring the individual growth before. So we're building up on the skills that we need to work at a more simpler level with ourselves, with others, and then bringing that up to the group context. And it's just brilliant, because the way Boaz has really developed, and this is where Boaz really has takes the neurosystemics in my perspective, and that's why I'm so attracted to what he has come up with, and very excited about co-teaching about this, is taking this to the group level. He is the first in terms of really bringing the highest level of understanding of complex systems and the neurobiology in a group context, and how to actually work with a group with those elements in place. Very deeply healing sort of antidotes to our traumatic experience, and how to really create an alleviating, comfortable experience in therapeutic practice at a group level. And then just not there, we don't stop there. We take it even beyond that to the level of civilization, and to our environment, to the structure of the very structure of all of people united together. And how do we navigate this world? How do we become resilient enough and empowered enough, compassionate enough to engage the world at a larger level in terms of facilitating growth and positive change that's healthy, that is inclusive, that honors the individuals and individual creative expression, as well as the groups. It's delicate water to tread, and we're also tackling that in this incredible 3-year training. It's really quite a program, and we've got the maps, we've got the skills, we've got the knowledge, and the expertise to really help people develop these essential life skills and skills for really deep, lasting change.
That's super. And maybe if we're here anyways, would you like to make the traverse towards the program, like what the training program from year to year looks like and how this kind of lands in each year? Is it, because I have the slide open anyway. How would you feel about that? Or
yeah,
would you like to
sure.
hang out? Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
take a look at that.
Because this is
Okay.
our overview of the 3 years and what we will be doing together, online, offline. So maybe you could walk us through this. Like, what can people expect if they were to think about maybe joining such a program?
Actually, as it's a bit difficult for me to see that, Boz, and I'm trying to find it on mine. Maybe you could outline a little bit from what you're reading, what you can see, some particulars that jump out to you that would be noteworthy right now.
Sure. Yeah. So I think what's most interesting to me and probably to participants is to get a feeling of, this is a really magnificent journey of 3 years that you'll be embarking on with a great group of people. As we say, we haven't spoken so much to it today, but it's a community-based program, right? So we really built the training group as a community.
Yep.
So as a group, what people will go through is, we have 2 offline residential trainings. We have practice sessions online and then workshops as our basic format. So maybe you can just talk a little bit about what the residential training is like, the online practice sessions and the workshops that they will be having in those years.
Right. Well, we've got, it's quite a combination of different ways that we want to engage. Yeah, hello. Good to see you again.
Do you want to see the slide still, or shall we just...
No, let's just chat. Let's just chat. And I was still looking for that just so I had it myself, but I think, I'll just go from what you said. We've got a 9-day residential experience 3 times. So each year there'll be a 9-day residential experience in which we will all come together. All the students will physically come together, and we will be going through these exercises and the training experience to make it as rich of a community experience as possible as well. Because really part of this, a motto, you would say, is we go further together. Mm-hmm. And so, our community building among the students and, our staff and our mentor team, all of that is a really massive resource in this program that we spend a lot of nurturing time for. So that alone is just an amazing gift that is not necessarily looked at with such heartfulness in other groups that are coming together. So there's a lot of presence, a lot of awareness, and a lot of preparation for good, wholesome connection to happen. And in those 9-day trainings, we're going to really be practicing together. We're going to be rolling our sleeves up and digging into the mud and the nitty-gritty of how to make this happen, how to make the magic happen between within ourselves, within as we interact with each other, within the groups. I remember Boaz referring to it as magicians in a way. There's this component of it. It's just so magical, but it's by far nothing about some kind of made-up fantasy land. It's deeply grounded in really solid, scientific, effective practices. So in those 9-day residentials, we're all together, which is a beautiful way to go. And we do have online. We also would have a 4-day program too each year So there's 9 days residential, then there's 4 days, could be residential, but probably it'll be a meetup. 4 days where we will be exploring some skills, some specific skill sets there. And then, of course, we've got our mentors, our amazing mentors. We've got amazing Turkish folks on our mentor team, and also in Switzerland. You know, Boz is one of those fantastic, skillful mentors that are part of our team. And the mentors will be supporting all the students in their progress and development of these skills and understanding of the theory in separate groups, both during when we're meeting on the residential and the 4-day, as well as online support. So there's really a lot of opportunity and support along the way during the 3-year program. I mean, it's maybe you have access to the numbers, but it's like a lot of hours. Do you have that slide where there's a number of hours that are dedicated?
I think I got that. Yeah. Let me just see. I think it's I can read it here. So the total residential training hours would be 84 hours.
Yeah.
And that's per year. Right? So
per year.
Per year,
84 hours.
So that's 13 days per year. So that's 9 in the 4 days together that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then the total training hours per year will be 24 hours. So that's excluding the residential training. Yeah. So that can be online with us as mentors and with you as faculty. And that's every year. So we have that 3 times. So it's an intensive program.
It is a very intensive program.
Yeah.
We're going to need enough resiliency to be able to see each other that often.
Yes, totally. Right. It's part of the challenge to really put ourselves together as much as we can. And
that's right. Yeah. And you know, we also learn from those challenging moments too. In fact, that's one of the practices for our interactive level is actually taking a look at the challenging pieces that bubble up when humans come together, and being able to compassionately, with resilience, step into those realms and see about working it out, seeing how you can work that out.
That's so. I mean, I've experienced this already in a lot of our mentor calls that you guide and Boaz guide, and you guys bring such a playful quality, even around challenging conversations that are around needs and values. And besides coaching and counseling, I give trainings and facilitation in organizations. Yeah, and I'm already seeing the application of NeuroSystemics is really powerful there, because if there's one place where there's a lot of conflict or potential conflict, it's there. And I think bringing that really engaging, almost playful quality around being with groups and or even couples, anything from 2 people to 200 people in an organization. It's so transformative to engage groups in those ways, which brings me to the question. Maybe you can speak a little bit to the types of people that can apply this, that might be suitable to apply for a NeuroSystemics program. I've listed a few of my things, but there might be much more people that you can think of that can benefit from this.
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, before I answer that, what you just said about our own group and how Boaz and I have been working with our mentors, etc., makes me want to mention another thing here, and that is actually we spend a lot of time behind the curtains, like even now in terms of preparing the soil for this training.
That's a beautiful metaphor.
Yeah, like we're spending quite a bit of time together, especially when Boaz pops out from his stillness practice. He'll be coming back out in June. We'll have a couple weeks with him before he goes back into silence again with his meditation practice, where we're engaging a lot we're still engaging quite a bit with each other, and we do walk our talk in terms of letting challenge arise and seeing how we can settle through that, and find a compassionate landing place for all, and our sense of inclusivity and respect, and it really builds a foundation of empowerment, resiliency, compassion in our whole team. And that's really something that students are going to be getting when they step into the program for this training period. They're going to get a high quality team that's already been employing the principles and the practices and the exercises all together. And that is just high value in itself.
Yeah, for sure. It's something I haven't come across in other trainings. So I can only acknowledge that it's very true, and I've been on the receiving end of that, and it's been so far it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah. So a practical question, like who might be interested in doing this, and who might it benefit? Well, I would say every person on the planet could benefit from this practice or from this training. It's really a training in becoming a better human being, becoming a more full human being, and we all could benefit from that. It's going to benefit our lives in such deep personal ways. How we spend our day, the way we spend our day, the quality of our experience, the very quality of our breathing, what we're looking at, our appreciation for life. You know, there's a lot of conversation about longevity and how can I increase my lifespan, and we have a lot of life hacks for that, to be able to really extend life with lifestyle change. But this piece here is really about increasing the quality of the time you have on this planet. Your awareness. Now, awakening is part of this program, CARE, C-A-R-E. Awakening is the second one in this word. The awakening piece is really, from my perspective, is a finger toward waking up in this here and now moment of experience and really being blessed by the richness of what's around us. Therefore, I would suggest the training to everybody out there who has a body, who has a mind, and they're wanting to enrich in themselves, right? Especially also for people who are in the helping fields, the helping professions. You know, when you are going through a personal transformation process, which this training is, it's really a personal and professional process. You're personally transformed, and you're also developing skills of how to help other people transform themselves. This is very helpful for any folks in the helping fields, like physicians, psychiatrists, psychologists, psychoanalysts. This is not a psychoanalytical training. This is something that psychoanalysts could benefit from taking. We are craftfully utilizing elements that psychoanalysts use in their sessions. Some of their elements are really profound, but just checking time here. We're doing okay. We're using some of those, the unconscious mind and how that's getting expressed through our biology and the way we're saying, the way we move our hands, etc. We're using a lot of those elements, and psychotherapists would learn that. they're going to take their therapy to a completely other dimension when they take a training like this. Who else? Yoga teachers, meditation teachers, especially meditation teachers and yoga teachers. They're going to learn so many really beautiful, grounding, simple skills to add to their practice, to increase the depth of their teaching, increase the safety of their teaching as well, increase the ability to lead groups and to bring them even closer together and have deeper experiences together.
And that's super interesting. I think really that's so unique about NeuroSystemics, that those people that are already having groups can find those leverage points that bring those groups into really different levels of experience together, right? And on a group level, which is what you're mentioning now, which I think is so unique.
Yeah, for sure.
And for psychotherapists as well, which you just mentioned, I know a lot of therapists and coaches who are doing only one-on-one, whereas having groups is so transformative and such enriching for your clients to have them together work on those parents in a, like you said, in a safe way and in a systemic way. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, when we're talking group therapy, if you're interested in getting into group therapeutic work, this is the training to take, because not only are you going to increase your skills as a therapist generally, but then you're going to get the super added bonus of really deep shepherding of group work.
That's a beautiful word. And as you mentioned shepherding, we have someone commenting about leaders on every level as well, which is so...
Leaders on every level as well, yeah.
Right? And so shepherding is the right word, I think, for what they can do with an entire organization.
That's right. Leaders at every level. Leadership is something... that's a high quality piece to step into. Leaders are deft followers, and they are able to sense where a group is ripe for going to next by such an incredibly sensitive skill of following, that then they can allow that group to unfold. So the dynamic of leadership and fellowship really comes to mind when I hear that phrase. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, and anybody, any group we haven't mentioned, which is still really a big part of the audience for NeuroSystemics that can think of how much this will benefit their practice.
Well, for sure, folks who are also in the helping realm at another level, which is like NGOs, working at organizations, big organizations who are wanting to learn ways in which they can run their organizations and develop more positive orientation and a mindfulness of the biological influences in individuals and in groups, activists as well, nonprofits. All of this, we're going to be really spending time in this training looking at how to really function at this greater level as well. So it's just as important in our system, our NeuroSystemics care program, to be able to navigate the bigger waters, this ocean of civilization as well, and how to really land as a resilient, compassionate individual and move through the world and able to interact with groups in positive ways and cultivate the empowerment of those groups and moving those groups into networks, bigger networks, and through the question of how are we going to continue nourishing ourselves when we're really on the front lines of change, where it can be pretty exhausting?
Yeah.
And how are we going to maintain a sense of sort of wise objectivity as we're stepping forward and remaining compassionate in times of pretty intense emotional activation? And how can we remain in a attitude of curiosity and really engagement, authentic engagement, in situations that can be quite heated? And all these elements, we're going to be taking a look at that, and not just taking a look at that, but really developing ourselves to be able to sit in the heat of things, sit in the fire, and be grounded and be able to take action in these kinds of situations. So this awakening is not just some thing where we're going to be meditating and floating around in some kind of la-la land. This is really grounded, take action, presence, compassionate living.
Yeah.
So folks from all walks of life and all levels, an artist could benefit from this, a person who's into sports or music, business people. I don't know, do any groups come to you? Have I missed anyone?
I think we mentioned a lot of groups, so so
Yeah.
I think we're covering the landscape quite well, and I
Yeah.
think these are for sure the most important ones, and definitely the places where I've seen the power of, I've had the pleasure of getting access to those principles and applying them in organizations, in small groups, in one-on-one, and I can attest to how context independent they are. Right? They're meta tools, so it doesn't matter, and that's a great feeling with NeuroSystemics in you. You can go into any group or any system, and you can feel confident that you'll be able to make a change there, and to, like you say, to sit in those fires and even enjoy them. Right? When there's a conflict in a team that I'm sitting with, I'm actually getting ready, like, oh yeah, let's bring this on. let's get to the good stuff. Right? Now it's getting alive and real.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's that empowerment piece. When you're actually welcoming challenge into the picture, because you know that there's a way through that.
Exactly.
And actually, on the other side is waiting such tremendous rewards of community, of intimacy, of very good feelings, very deep friendships, good works, cooperation. It's this empowerment piece is just phenomenal.
It is, and it's a gift that keeps giving, right? Once you get those, once you understand the mechanics of empowerment, you can keep empowering others and yourself, which is what I feel. It's like you start on this journey, which feels so long.
Hello there.
I'm so sorry. We got a 1 hour limit from Instagram, which went out.
Okay, that's what happened. All right, no problem. So no big deal. I think I started creating another live feed on my own Instagram thing.
Okay.
And I had to navigate through that. So here I am for
back.
our wrap up.
We're being resilient with Instagram. Good modeling.
Yep, for sure.
So I think we're nearing our end anyways. And I had this final question for you, as we've been, we had this great short journey through NeuroSystemics, the program, the people that might enjoy it and benefit from it. Maybe you can point us to the things that are going on right now in NeuroSystemics, like the events where people can find more. Maybe you want to close us off in that way.
You are so good, Boz. That's great.
I'm running for a Tonight Show host, so.
Yeah, I can see that. Perfect. This is key, because how are people going to link up and get some help or sign up? Our website is simplemindfulness.org. And on simplemindfulness.org, yeah, there you go.
Whoops.
You can find us there. You'll find NeuroSystemics Care Training Program on that website, and lots of possible ways to engage with us now. On Tuesday evening, so tomorrow night, we have our global community gatherings. We've been doing that for the last month. They're very rich and beautiful community building events where we're sharing some of our skills there, exploration, and just the benefit of being with really good people, and that the good co-regulation experience there. We are also doing information sessions. There's a couple more of those. This is an information session that we had tonight. There are more of those that are listed on the website. We have introductions to the whole training. Those are weekend events. You can just scroll through the NeuroSystemics Care Training piece on the website, and you'll be able to see when those intros are scheduled. A lot of those are going to be online. And we have some scheduled in Turkey, some down in Switzerland. We've got one. I'm going to be giving one in Germany here, where I live. So those are preparatory. Get a deeper taste of NeuroSystemics. And then, of course, there's the training itself. The training in Turkey will be starting in November. And then we've got our Swiss training that starts next year. Which month is that, Boz? I think that's March or April.
I would have to check that on my calendar.
Yeah, it's
right away.
Okay. I think it's April, maybe, or maybe a little bit later.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah.
So that's it's March, 13th of March. Yeah.
Okay, 13th of March, 2021, we'll start the Swiss training. So all of those are things that people can jump in on now. The global community gatherings on Tuesdays, the more introductions like this. If you meet someone you'd like them to get more information like this, you can send them to the website and find out when the next one is. The next one will be with Boaz. And the intros as well. Is there anything else? Well, sessions. If people want to do sessions with us, they should inquire about sessions, because this is where you're going to get lots of get a very deep taste of how this work unfolds. So any of our mentors, Boaz is not giving sessions currently. I'm giving sessions. Also resiliency groups. Some of our mentors are offering resiliency groups, like they're getting started like right now. So please inquire about those as well. Those are great ways to explore some of the neurosystemics dynamics straight away.
For sure. Yeah, I think those are the really key starting points, and for the meantime, until the program. I think that's
Anything else that comes to your mind, Boz, that you'd like to share as we wrap this up?
Well, I have to say, I heard a trumpet in my ear, which is the signal for us in the Netherlands that we're starting our national remembrance moment for the Second World War.
Oh,
so
yes. Okay.
I will have to leave very soon, but I think we covered it all. So you really mentioned everything.
Excellent.
I think that's really important. So thanks so much for your time.
And enjoy your time of commemoration. That's a very important thing. And I wish everyone a beautiful evening, and please inquire and engage.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and see you next time. Okay.
Beautiful. All right.
Bye, Heath.
Good night. Ciao.
See you soon.
Bye now.